The Last Supper, a recipe for disaster. July 2023, Leongatha, Victoria, a small, usually quiet town. Erin Patterson decided to host a Sunday lunch. A family gathering, it seemed. Her former in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson, were invited. Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, and Heather's husband, Ian, also came. On the surface, it was just another weekend meal. But this was no ordinary lunch. This meal would unravel lives. It would end in unimaginable tragedy. This quiet town would soon become the center of a grim, perplexing mystery. What truly happened inside that Leongatha home on that fateful day? Erin was in the kitchen. She prepared beef Wellington, a classic, often celebratory dish. She later told investigators she bought the mushrooms from two places, some from a local supermarket chain, others from an Asian grocery store nearby. Ordinary ingredients, one might assume, or so it seemed at the time. Her children were present in the house that day, yet they reportedly ate a different meal entirely. They were kept separate from the beef Wellington. Why? That question, simple yet profound, would hang heavy in the air for months. A detail, a crucial, potentially telling detail. After the plates were cleared, things started to go wrong. Horribly, terribly wrong. All four guests who ate the beef Wellington became ill. Critically, frighteningly ill. The symptoms were violent, unrelenting, nausea, stomach pains, worse. They were rushed to various hospitals as their conditions deteriorated rapidly. Doctors in emergency rooms and intensive care units fought desperately to save them. The local community of Leongatha, and indeed all of Victoria, held its collective breath. A shared meal, now a shared unfolding nightmare. What had they ingested? The awful truth was more sinister than anyone could initially imagine. Toxicology reports eventually delivered the chilling confirmation. Amanita phalloides, the deathcap mushroom, one of the most poisonous fungi known to humankind. Beautiful sometimes, but deadly. Ingestion often leads to a slow, agonizing death. There's no simple, universally effective antidote. Gail Patterson died first, then her husband, Don Patterson, then Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson. 3 lives extinguished. Ian Wilkinson, Heather's husband, was the sole survivor among the guests who ate the dish. He survived, but only just. He required an emergency liver transplant. His life was forever changed. By a mushroom. Or was it by something or someone more deliberate? Don and Gail Patterson. They were respected figures in their community, known for their kindness, their involvement. Erin was their former daughter-in-law. She had been married to their son, Simon Patterson. That marriage, however, had ended. It wasn't amicable, some whispered. Were there unresolved tensions? Lingering financial disputes or emotional wounds? These are the uncomfortable questions investigators would inevitably begin to ask. Don and Gail, parents and grandparents, gone. Leaving behind a family utterly shattered by grief. And so many unanswered, troubling questions surrounding that final, fatal meal they shared. Heather Wilkinson was Gail's sister, her husband Ian Wilkinson, a local pastor. They too were invited guests at Erin's table that day. Heather, like her sister and brother-in-law, also succumbed to the deadly poison. Ian, he was the only one of the 4 who ate the beef Wellington to survive. His survival was a miracle, but it came at a terrible cost. An arduous recovery, a life-saving liver transplant, a future haunted. He would become a key witness. His memory of that day, of the food, of the conversation, scrutinized intensely. What did he truly see? What did he taste? What did he suspect? And then there was Erin Patterson, the host, the cook. She was remarkably unharmed. She spoke to the media in the days that followed. "I am devastated," she told them, her voice strained. "I didn't do anything." She insisted she loved them all dearly, her former in-laws, Don and Gail, her aunt by marriage, Heather. "I had no reason to hurt these people whom I loved," she claimed, her words broadcast across the nation. Tears were shed, publicly at least. But what about privately? What was happening behind closed doors when the cameras weren't there? Her statements echoed with grief. But for investigators, did they ring entirely true? Erin Patterson maintained that she too had eaten the beef Wellington, at least a portion of it. She claimed she felt unwell herself afterwards, had vomited, and later she said she had gone to hospital for treatment, though some reports suggest medical records didn't fully support this timeline. Her children, who were also in the house, they were safe. They had eaten a different meal that day, something simpler. A detail that many observers found curious, even suspicious. If the mushrooms were an innocent mistake, a tragic accident of foraging or purchasing, why the separate safe food for the children? This point would be debated endlessly. The police investigation intensified, digging deeper. This wasn't just a case of accidental poisoning anymore. Small-town secrets began to surface. Big, life-altering questions needed answers. One particular item soon became central to their inquiries: a food dehydrator. Erin Patterson, when first questioned, initially denied owning one, or perhaps more accurately, she just didn't mention its existence. Later, however, her story changed. She admitted she'd owned one, and that she'd thrown it out, discarded it at the local rubbish tip. Why? Panicking, she explained. Investigators immediately suspected this dehydrator might have been used to prepare the death cap mushrooms, to dry them, to make them an undetectable part of the meal. Then came the cold, hard digital trail. Police meticulously examined her electronic devices, her computer, her phone, her internet search history. What they found was unsettling. They uncovered searches for information, websites documenting death cap mushroom sightings and their lethal properties. These searches were made prior to the fatal lunch. A chilling coincidence? Or was it research? Her communications were also scrutinized. Investigators noted mentions of medical appointments in messages, appointments that, according to records, apparently never took place. Discrepancies, inconsistencies. They piled up, forming a deeply disturbing pattern for police. Her mobile phones. In today's world, they are often a Pandora's box of personal information, and this case was no exception. During a police search of her property, something decidedly odd happened. A SIM card was reportedly swapped between different mobile devices. One phone, potentially containing crucial evidence, was never recovered by authorities. It simply vanished. Another device, which had already been seized by the police, was remotely reset, wiped clean of all its data while in their possession. Why would an innocent person do that, if there was absolutely nothing to hide? These actions screamed suspicion to many. Or did they simply scream fear and confusion? It really depends on who you ask. November 2023 arrived. It was several months after that catastrophic July lunch. The investigation had been painstaking, methodical. And then Erin Patterson was arrested. The charges laid against her were shocking, sending tremors through the community and the nation. 3 counts of murder for the deaths of Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, and Heather Wilkinson. But there was more. 5 counts of attempted murder. These additional charges included allegations concerning her ex-husband, Simon Patterson. He had reportedly suffered unexplained serious stomach illnesses back in 2022, long before the fatal lunch. Were these incidents connected? Erin Patterson pleaded not guilty to all charges. The battle lines were definitively drawn. Fast forward to today. The calendar reads May 28, 2025. The trial of Erin Patterson is currently underway. It's being held in the Supreme Court of Victoria, located in the regional city of Morwell. The nation is watching, transfixed. Every news bulletin, every paper, leads with updates. She faces those 3 grave counts of murder, and 1 count of attempted murder, specifically relating to Ian Wilkinson, the lone survivor of the lunch. The other attempted murder charges, those concerning her ex-husband Simon, are being dealt with separately for now. The public gallery in the court is packed daily. Every detail of the proceedings is reported. Every flicker of emotion on Erin Patterson's face is analyzed by onlookers. Key, often harrowing, evidence has been presented. Experts in mycology, the intricate study of fungi, have testified. Forensic scientists detailed their findings. They discussed the specific mushrooms, the nature of the poison, the possible methods of preparation. An intensive care specialist took the stand. The victim's medical conditions, she stated, were not survivable. Stark, chilling words, painting a grim picture of their final days. The controversial food dehydrator, the phone data, all laid out for the jury. each piece a fragment of a complex, tragic puzzle they must now solve. Erin Patterson sits in the dock. She watches. She listens intently as her fate is debated. She continues to maintain her innocence steadfastly. It was all just a tragic accident, her defense team argues passionately. A terrible, unfortunate mistake with utterly devastating consequences. But not intentional. Not murder. She loved these people. Her lawyers reiterate, echoing her earlier statements. The prosecution, however, paints a vastly different, more sinister picture. One of premeditation, deception, a carefully planned and callously executed act of poisoning. The jury must decide. Which narrative reflects the truth of what happened that day? This case has undeniably captivated Australia, and its ripples have spread far beyond. Podcasts dissect every twist and turn. True crime documentaries are already in production, exploring the dark saga. People queue for hours, hoping for a seat in the public gallery of the courtroom. The community of Leongatha, once known for its peaceful rural charm, is now forever linked to this awful tragedy. The emotional toll is immense, immeasurable, for the grieving families, for Ian Wilkinson, the survivor, for everyone whose life has been touched by these shocking events. The trial continues its somber course. More evidence will be heard, more testimony given. The search for truth and for justice is far from over.